don't think we test you all on shoulder. I think we do it in lab, but we don't test you on that, so I'm going to take that one off. I think it's just those 4 are your options for your upper. And then for lower, again, you'll choose a scenario, and your choices for this can be hip, flexion, extension. And I should preface that by saying you'll just be bringing them down to neutral extension, which is flat back down to the table just like we did. Same with this one. And same with this one. Just for technicality's sake. Okay. So you'll have hip flexion extension, you'll have hip abduction and adduction to neutral as a possibility. You will have knee flexion extension and ankle plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. Okay. So everybody show me what motion shoulder flexion extension is. Okay, flexion would be up, extension we're just bringing them back down to neutral. Okay, so that would be, so if you draw that, I don't want you to start doing this, that would be grounds for failing because you're not doing the appropriate thing. Flexion extension is here. What plane of motion is this in? Sagittal. Okay, sagittal plane. Shoulder AB and adduction, what motion would that look like? Okay, all the way up to the ear, all the way down. Okay, make sure it gets all the way up to the ear. And what plane of motion is this in? Coronal or frontal, either one. Elbow flexion extension would look like this. Okay, you'll just do one arm. It'll tell you the right or left arm. And what plane of motion? Sagittal. Okay, all your flexion extensions are in sagittal. Wrist flexion extension would look like this. Okay, and what plane of motion? Sagittal. Okay, so then your lower extremity, your hip flexion extension down to neutral would be what plane of motion? Sagittal. And what motion is that going to look like? Knee up to your belly and then all the way back down. Okay, make sure your overpressure on that top hand comes here to push the knee towards your belly. We'll review that when we're laying down again too, so you see it done really well. Hip AB and adduction would look like out to the side, abduction, and then adduction here back to neutral. What plane of motion is that in? Coronal or frontal. Okay. Knee flexion extension would look like this. Okay. Your overpressure is from down at the ankle, so we actually get the full bend of the knee. When you bring it back down, again, we'll review it laying down. And what plane of motion is that in? Sagittal. And then ankle plantar flexion, dorsiflexion would look like what? The ankle pointing and coming back up. Okay, so this motion. What do we need to remember when we are stretching somebody into ankle dorsiflexion? We need to do what under the knee? Put a little bolster or something under the knee. Okay, that way we give that a little bit of slack to that gastrocnemius complex. You give a little bit of laxity there, so we get the full ankle range of motion there into dorsiflexion. So we're going to put a bolster under our patient's knee when we stretch that direction. And that would be in the sagittal plane. Okay, questions about this? Okay. Elise is going to take us through, are you okay? Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. While we go through our range of motion sheet, I'm just going to kind of give us a quick review, and then I'm going to have some